Well, welcome to this sacred space. I'm Chantal, and I'm from Unfold Your Freedom, and I'm a psychotherapist, divine psychotherapist, because I work also with spirituality, and a Reiki master. And today we have the pleasure, or I have the pleasure, I think my guides are saying we, because it is about we, to talk with Maryann Hesse. Is it Hesse? Sorry, I meant to ask you that. Hesse or Hesse?
It's my ex-husband's name. He pronounced it Hesse.
Right.
I changed the pronunciation to change the energy so I wouldn't have to change my name.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And that's a lovely way to start with the work that you do, because I've met or known of Maryann through Facebook for a long time, and I just recently had my own beautiful session with her, and I just had this real sense that I wanted to share who she is and what she offers to anyone who is listening. Because for her, it's all about, and I'm just going to read it here, connecting with your power, not to settle for less, because so many of us as women and men, I suppose, can too, but I normally speak to women, we always settle for less, and she wants to support you in easily accessing your divine guidance, because this is what it's all about, trusting that part of you, and that you can follow through in your life with anything that you do with unwavering confidence. So welcome, Maryann. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Chantal. It's very wonderful to be here, and it was so lovely to have that session with you, to get to know you a bit, and to be of service to you. So it's very wonderful.
Thank you. And I suppose I'm going to jump a little bit forward. So I was actually going to talk about this a bit later, but I thought I may as well say now, the way Maryann works is very different. And you've got to really open up and trust the space that she creates for. And she has this wonderful technique to take you into really, it's your unconscious. I'm sharing how it was for me, Maryann, and then I'm more than happy for you to come in and explore further and how you got to do this. And she listens to you, she hears you. I knew she was right there, even though we did it on Zoom because she lives in America, and allowed me just to process, but also to process without needing to know what was being processed. And that was, for me, was really important, because for so long I needed to have words to make sense of my experience. And now, a few days later, I know something is shifting, but not easy to put into words. But I just know there's this energy. So that's sort of how I'd like to segue into you sharing how you got to this point to be doing this sort of work.
My journey, as many on spiritual paths, was not a straight one. It was very curvy and whatever. And it started for me back in the mid 80s when I moved cross country to start a new life. And one day when my new life was beginning, I couldn't literally stand upright. I had to crawl. My body was shutting down. The organs were starting to no longer function. And it was as if the universe had said, you either listen up or you leave. And so I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And so through that time of coming back to homeostasis, I was fortunate enough to have someone muscle test me morning, noon, and night, 5 times for 5 years. And I couldn't work, but I was helping her with her business as she was helping me with my health. And I studied nutrition. I became a personal fitness trainer, and I started being introduced to the world of energetic healing, which began for me way back then with Reiki, and I became a Reiki master. And through my journey of healing, I came back to homeostasis and had various encounters and relationships that were not healthy for me because I kept giving my power away, which began with, early on giving my power away to my mother, which continued for decades. And it really was detrimental to my health, but also, my physical health, but also my emotional health. And as the things progressed, I was introduced to work that allowed me to embody my power. Yes. And really live from there, being able to listen to that divine guidance and trust it and really go forward with unwavering confidence. And coupled with that came in what you experienced, which was the subconscious release technique, which allows me to be with you, listening for where those subconscious programs are and be able to clear those and dissolve them permanently. So that my experience anyway was I go two steps forward, and then I get pulled back. And then I get going and really have some momentum. And then it's like, oh, and it was because of the subconscious programming. No matter how many things I did energetically with managing my energy field and my energy and so forth, and containing it in the various things that I do, there was still that deep thing rooted. And once I was rooting those out, everything changed. So that's what you were experiencing with me the other day, was the rooting out of those subconscious programmings so that they're just no longer there and you are free.
Thank you. And that is how I feel, is free. And I love what you're saying, because what popped into my mind was, as I've been learning more and more about trauma and understanding my experience for others, is that also is that unconscious bias popped in, where we don't realize we're coming from a place. It's, as you said, it's energetic, it's in our bodies. It's not just mindset talk. And I love what you're doing. And there's, from what I'm seeing, is as well that more and more this is being looked at. What is being held at another level in our bodies and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it gets lodged in our bodies. And until we release that, we can't be free no matter what we do.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was waiting to see. Yes, I agree with you, because often we don't understand that we're not as free as we think we are, you know, and we don't quite know what's going on, because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
But it's,
and that's what I, yeah.
No, go on.
Yeah, and that's what I can hear as I'm talking with people, and I sense when I'm talking to people, it's what they're not saying. And I can allow very gently to go into, with some little bit of inquiry, you know, a little more about that, till we get to the root.
Yeah. And that's, oh, thank you, because you've now put into words, which is great for what I experienced, because that part of me still likes to know. That's right. And what I also loved that you did was you took me there, but as we went through your process, it then allowed things to come to the fore. It was like, yes. And you created the space for me to be able to share that, to be able to actually put it out there, and then either add it or not to the wording you were giving me to look at.
And I receive information as I'm doing it. So it's all guided. And as I'm listening, and there's other, I'm going to call them my unseen help, are also right there along with your unseen help. And we're all working together for your greatest good. Yeah.
And again, I'm loving you hearing this, because when I finally came back to reconnect with my own intuition and that way of working, because it got lost in the trauma, my mind was too scrambled. It's been a real deep part of my healing and delight to know that is there again. So anyone who's listening, know that you can have this too. Yeah, thank you, Maryann. And that Maryann is really exquisite at supporting you, as she said, to access your own divine guidance. You have it too. It's just sometimes you need someone to support you, don't you? And it's about trusting and reaching out. You don't need to know what you don't need to know. So it's, again, before I go back to Maryann, that if you feel you resonate with Maryann's energy, well, there might be something telling you she's the person to work with. Oh, can you hear me still?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So I just thought we just, yeah. So, you know, I think it's really powerful, because that's the beginning of you trusting your own intuition, or trusting that something's there, and then to allow it to evolve. To allow it to evolve. Did you want to sort of bring in a little bit of more of your own journey or background of how, again, you went a few steps forward, a few steps back. How do you now support yourself, anchor yourself where you are now?
I'm using the techniques that I have learned over the years to really anchor my energy so that I am inside my power center. I reside there. I am so aligned in the energy of that which is, that we, as we often talk about, being in what we call a vertical core, because it goes into infinity in both directions, being so anchored in that, that I am vertically aligned and grounded as I notice what's happening horizontally in life and in the world, and I can respond from this place of love and be heard, because I am authentically in my power, and it takes nothing away from anyone else ever. I'm simply in my own, my energy contained, shining my light and allowing what wants to be said, what wants to be done, to be received. Versus creating life, we receive life from that place of unwavering stillness.
Oh, I could just felt every little bit of that. I could feel my whole body just going, thank you. Thank you. And I think the other thing you said, unwavering stillness, but earlier you also said unwavering confidence. And I can feel that. I love it. And this is where, as you said, you want women to come to, that they trust they can stand in their own power no matter what's happening around, it could chaos or whatever. Yet, another thing I really like what you said, without giving your power away, without that sort of, you are just here. You're in your own self and your own energy.
Yes, and you're not triggered by the horizontal around you, which I think is particularly important with whatever the heck you want to call what's going on in the world, so that you're not thrown off your center or give your power in some way to all of the chaos, I guess I'll say, that's happening in the world right now. So not only does it help with your relationships, all of your relationships improve. You're able to communicate at deeper levels and be heard, but you're not triggered by your loved ones anymore. And you come from this wonderful place. When you're in this place, if you walk into a room that's somewhat chaotic, or maybe there's a conflict or whatever, if you're in this place, it affects everyone in the room and helps to calm it. So imagine the ripple effect that has for the world. So as you are in your own power center, in your own guidance, in your own light, how wonderful that is for the rest of the world. Because you're in such love and peace and joy and happiness and abundance, as is natural and what we be, that radiates, that frequency, that energetic vibration ripples out for the world. Yeah. So not only does it help you, it helps everyone around you and our planet. Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here for a moment. That is just, I can feel every little bit of that right into my DNA. Thank you. Because I think something I also needed to learn, and I've watched others around me, is that no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you live, you can have an effect. You might feel like you're this tiny drop and not worthy or not enough. But I really believe, like you now, that you remember they talk about the butterfly in South, that you can hear it when it ripples, when it wings, it spreads. Yeah. And look at the energy we're creating here. You're in the States, I'm here in Australia. We are different time zones, yet this beautiful energy is being created for anyone who's meant to see this.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then they can then enjoy this, and then find, like you said, embody it and become like that. And then they take it out to whoever they're meant to take it out to.
We're all here to lift one another up. We're all here to help one another. We're all here to empower one another.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we're here at this time.
Mm. Mm. And particularly, like you said, with the chaos all around us, how can you find that, as you said, stillness and peace within?
Mm-hmm. That's part of being so vertically aligned that you cannot be thrown off. You just can't. You're anchored in that, even though it's a light frequency, really, but you are so anchored and so solid, quote unquote, in whatever you want to call that, divine energy, universal intelligence, whatever, but you're grounded at the same time. You're not just out here. You're grounded in that. It's a practical spirituality kind of practice.
Yes. Practical. Thank you.
Yep.
Mm. Mm.
Absolutely.
Because I know for a while then, when I was lost at sea and I wanted to be more in my head and I wanted to be more spiritual because being in my body was too painful, I forgot about the practicality of being grounded and present. So I was so here. I could be anywhere and everywhere. But I also felt, look at me, I'm being spiritual, because that's the only thing I felt I could do at the time while I was healing my body, you know. And as you said, it's coming back. Oh, I love that, into practical spirituality. Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, I just keep doing delicious, beautiful breaths in with you, Maryann. And that's why I wanted to really share with you, or share with others, you and your energy, and this beautiful energy that you have, and for other women to know they can have that too. And the only other thing I wanted to say, as you were saying that, because I'm getting more and more anchored, that every now and again, what I love is, because you mentioned earlier about having your own tools or own ways of coming back to support you, you practice what you do, is that when you do get triggered or waver, you know, whoops, you can come back in.
It's like driving a car, and you go around a curve, or you step over the line a little bit, you just kind of error correct and you come back.
Yeah. And I found, and I'm sure you found this, that sometimes air correction was so big, but now it can just take a nanosecond sometimes to air correct, can't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Because I don't want to stop the conversation. I'd like it to keep going. Because I'm so enjoying this. But Benjamin, I might be dunk myself in this beautiful energy. Is there anything else you'd like to share with people? Any other tips or ideas, or just how to get started? Okay, you come back just to, you said your body, you had to start, and your body was not functioning. How did that make you feel at the time?
I was devastated, because to me, if my body is not functioning, how am I going to survive? It's very frightening, very frightening. And I was so grateful, because I had done networking enough in this town where I had moved that somebody knew how to do this kinesiology muscle testing, right?
Yeah.
She happened to call the morning that I was crawling. And she said, "How are you?" I said, "Well," she said, "I'll be right there." And so, we're always divinely taken care of if we just surrender to it and not try to force something. And that's hard sometimes, at least for me, because I'm a very action-oriented person, to just chill, just be in stillness, and allow the receiving of whatever information is for me in this moment, and then take action from the inspired divine action versus, oh, here's this strategy, I need to do this. Well, been there, done that.
Yep.
And my forcing and my will and all of this, it doesn't work. I think we're really being called to go within, listen, and is in shamanic terms from years ago, listen, honor, and obey. Not that I like the word obey so much, but to really implement that and to take action, but from the divine guidance, not from the head.
Yes. And I think the word you use, and I'm using it too, it's not just about listening or hearing, because you can sound intuitive, it's actually acting on it. I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you.
Mhm.
And my sense would be with your body not functioning because you were in, you know, in your mind and doing, you didn't, most probably, I'm assuming, so I'd like you to correct me, is that you, perhaps the messages were there, but you just couldn't see it. And you had to actually go to that place where you're at rock bottom, as they say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was so unaware at that point,
Mm.
so out to lunch, right? So this is definitely a process. I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, boom, now I know. No. You have to practice this. It's a new language almost. We aren't taught this. I wish. I wish I had known this years ago.
Yeah.
But it's a practice. It's a daily awareness. It's a daily being with what is coming forth
Mm.
versus being in the head and trying to figure it out.
Mm.
Head doesn't know anything. It's all our head knows is stuff that we've told it, and it's old information. It's old strategies.
Mm.
And you cannot get to your future from this past information. You can't.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, you need to go deep within and just be.
Mm.
You know, sometimes we get so busy, 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 and we think, oh, we're productive. And then that's, all well, fine. Yes, it's good to take action, but is it aligned? And are you just busy for the heck of it? Or thinking, well, if I'm busy, then I'm doing my thing. Well, are you really? Because we really need to listen to what our soul wants us to know. What is our soul's desire? And most people, especially women, don't know what they want. They put it on a shelf, or they're always taking care of other people or whatever. And to be still and really go deep within, I guide people how to do that, because even when they are getting to that, there's still something until you get to really the essence of that and you can hold it. Then that's a real desire of my heart and soul. Very different from things you expected to want, or, people assume that you want, or what I should do, or, oh, goodness. No, no, no. That makes for very unhappy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and we don't realize that we actually are deep down unhappy, or my words came up, unsatisfied, or we don't get it. We think we are, like you said, but deep down, there's like, we know there's something missing. I knew I did, but I didn't know how to access it, you know. And the other thing I'd like to add to that, that I found is like, and this is why I love your work too, it's personal. Finding your intuition, or how you hear, see, feel, is personal. So again, it's about you learning to trust yourself, because what I might hear or you see is different. So that's why it's not easy to learn. It's personal. You can guide them to then find their own. So coming back to what you said, to unwavering confidence, that you learn to trust yourself.
You own your power.
You own, that's it. You own your power. What a lovely way to come to a conclusion, Maryann, because that is just, I'm writing, I like to make notes because then I can come back to and write it, because you own your own power. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Thank
you
you.
are personally sovereign.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we are. So we're coming to the end, everyone. Thank you for listening. As mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to add the links to how you can contact Maryann. And if you'd like to find out more, leave comments. We're more than happy to, one of us will respond. But Maryann, how would you like to end this? So you've just come, the beautiful, you own your own powers. Anything else you'd like to end just before we come to a close?
That anyone can tune into their own guidance, and stillness is very important, because it's in the silence that we can really know. So taking time to just be in silence. I'm not talking about a meditative kind of practice or whatever, just being still and in what never moves, being in stillness and taking that time every day, maybe multiple times a day, so that you are so connected that when you go to take action, you'll know immediately if it doesn't feel right. Because when you're taking divinely inspired action, you're very calm. Even if there's a few butterflies of I don't know quite how, you're still calm. So it's key to just notice what's happening in the body. The body will tell you, it knows. It's divine intelligence.
Yeah. And you will know. Exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
You will know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Maryann. Really appreciate your time and just bringing this beautiful work and way of being into life, into our world on that micro and macro level. Thank you again. And thank you everyone for listening. And as mentioned, any comments, more than happy to be here for you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.